In this regard, I'm a follower of Jesus and Martin Luther King and Gandhi. However, working for 5 years at East 61st and St. Clair allows me to see the absolute futility of life without having the chance for a decent education. And the chance has to be now. It has to be now. Remember I talked about Otis Moss saying that public education is important, and it is. But I want to change how we say that. I want to say public education is really about educating the public. In Peru, which has been a big part of my life, all schools receive government subsidy. Even Catholic schools receive funding for everything except for their religion teachers and religion textbooks. The closest we have to this in the United States might have been the GI Bill, where after World War II, you got some kind of, I don't know how it worked, I wasn't going to college then, but you got some kind, Ray, you probably know, some kind of voucher, and you could go to any college you want. Didn't matter. Could be private, public, didn't matter. In the end, the idea was that everybody had the opportunity. That's what it's about, everybody having the opportunity. Now, as Cleveland begins to develop the STEM schools, the magnet schools, like the three at John Hay or the Cleveland School of the Arts, which has been around for a while, the chance for quality and safe education in this city is rising significantly. And that's all to the good. But my question now is quite simple. What happens to the thousands of kids who can't get into those schools? We need a much wider vision of education of the public and a look to excellent schools already in existence to help with the severe lack of quality now. There are charter schools and private schools that are not tuition driven that are helping to educate the public now. For me, the best way to look at this is always from the mother's point of view. I'm a mother, I live in the city, I have an 8th grader, and I'm asking the question, where can I send her in the fall of 2009 and be sure that the school is safe, effective, and will have demonstrated student learning and success? The answer can't be, we're working on it. It's my daughter. Where does she go? The child today doesn't have any time. You know, again, an analogy. If the avian flu, remember the avian flu a few years back, we were all going to, I don't know what happens. You cluck like a chicken, Ray? I don't know what goes on. But it's a bad thing. You don't want to run. Cities are prepared for it and so forth. But what if thousands of people needed medical assistance all at once? Thousands. And I think in the Cleveland Municipal School District, I think there's close to 50,000 children. So it's a large number like that. Wouldn't all the hospitals be part of the solution? Even if in some there were rabbis or priests or imams or they had saints in front of their names, would that matter? All that would matter is that the hospital could deliver the needed treatment. That's what would matter. It's my belief that urban education and the crisis it's in right now is that urgent and that deadly as that plague. If we don't do something right now, we will pay for it dearly in decades to come. You know, last year, Columbia College and their Institute for Student Achievement was funded by the Gund Foundation, the Cleveland Foundation, to come to Cleveland and look at high-performing schools, or as they said, schools that make a difference. And they identified 13. Now, that's not to say there's only 13, but they identified 13. St. Martin de Porres was one of them. That's why I'm telling you about this report right now. But what's important to also realize is that there were 7 public schools, 2 charter schools, and 4 Catholic schools identified by that report as schools that make a difference. And I think that's so important. You know, President Obama's appointment he's now the Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, says public education is the great equalizer. I would agree if what we're saying there, education of the public is the great equalizer. We need to do that. That's a task for all of us. Private, Catholic, charter, public, homeschool, I don't care what it is, it's got to get done. We need to change the whole paradigm. We need to focus on education of students by any means that is successful. Preparing 4 out of 10 for college success is cause for national alarm. The plague is upon us. It's not coming, it's here. Bill Gates talked at the Governor Conference in 2005. And he said very plainly, and I'm quoting, American secondary education is obsolete. By obsolete, I don't just mean that they're broken, flawed, or underfunded, although I can't argue with any of those. What I mean is that they were designed 50 years ago to meet the needs of another age. Another age. We're located in St. Vitus Grade School on St. Clair, East 61st and St. Clair. Just north of us, strip of factories all along the lakefront there. And the neighborhoods, boarding houses and double homes and triple homes of the factory workers who then went to grade school. The bell rang and went to lunch, just like at the factory. And then, it was a time period, and then it's over, and in the summer, if you happen to have a farm, you go work on it. That's the school system. It's unbelievable. If you went to the Cleveland Clinic in I don't even know if it existed, some hospital in 1896, and walked into a ward, you'd see an open room with probably 100 patients in bed. The nurses would be dressed up like nuns. The doctors would be outside smoking, looking for the leech delivery. It'd just be way over, all right? Now, you walk in there today, and I got to tell you, if you were Rip Van Winkle and you woke up, you wouldn't recognize it as a hospital. It's phenomenal. It's an entirely different thing. Entirely different. Talk about paradigm shift. Entirely. Now, you walk into a school. St. Ignatius was around in 1896. Let's walk into St. Ignatius in 1896. By the way, we'd be walking into the same building, okay? And you'd be going by the same classrooms. Not the same teachers, I think, but maybe. And this isn't a cut on Ignatius. It's just the reality of education. Nothing's changed. Maybe the content has caught up a little bit, but the delivery system, the classroom setup, the way the teacher's in front, the kids in the line, you would have no difficulty recognizing a school 100 years ago and 100 years now. There's nothing else like that in the world, really. It's time to change. We have one of the biggest high school dropout rates in the industrialized world, the United States of America. Now, this is a statistic that makes me sad. In math and science, the United States fourth graders rank among the top students in the world. That's encouraging, isn't it? Now, let's get discouraged. But our 12th graders are near the bottom. What happens to a high school dropout? Only 40% have jobs. They're nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested. And they die much younger because of poor health care, unsafe living, and violence. Now, Gates said this, and I say this too. We can put a stop to this. We designed these high schools. We can redesign these high schools. This is our stuff. It didn't come from the sky. We did it. Now, Gates' annual letter, wrote an annual letter this year for the first time. And he said he'll continue to invest in replicating school models that work best. Almost all of these schools are charter schools. There's, of course, one private network that he didn't mention by name, but we're in there too. But many states have limits on charter schools, including giving them less funding than other schools, and with support to Catholic schools, either non-existent or very low. Now, Gates has said this: our goal as a nation should be to ensure that 80% of our students graduate from high school fully ready to attend college by 2025. I have to tell you, when I heard that, I said 2025? But I think what he's seeing is the enormous problem. It's not going to be solved tomorrow. It's enormous. And then to say only 80%. So he's setting a realistic goal. That'd be very interesting. I hope I'm still around in 2025. But educational innovation and overall improvement will go a lot faster if the charter school limits and funding rules for private schools are changed. This is not the time for factions, politics, etc. It's a time for a bold, new sense of unity. Unity for the children of Cleveland. That's why we're here.